morgen, good morgen. We're good? We're good? Was macht er? Thank you, thank you. Okay. Good morning to everybody. Good morning, welcome. A freilichen Erev, Tainus Esther. We're on page 15 in the Maamar of Purim, Beis. La Yehudim Hoysa Eire V'Simcha V'Sasim Vikar, page 15, in middle of Seif Hey, middle of chapter 5. 15, it starts with Al Derech Ze Yuvan Gam L'Mayla. Today's class is dedicated by Diana Ben Ari in honor of her grandsons, Asher Chaim Ben Yehuda, Yishai Ezra Ben Yehuda, and their mother, and a shidduch toiv, a good shidduch for David Ben Oded. Amen. And hatzlacha, and a lot of nachas, larichis yamim v'shanim toivus. And thank you very much to Diana Ben Ari for your friendship and partnership. The class is also dedicated by Raymond Rothschild in memory of Shoshana Bat Rivka and Yisachar Ben Rosa v'Yosef. Tehei nishmasam tzura b'tzar hachayim. May their souls be a source of light and love and inspiration, with only blessings and joy for the entire family. And thank you very much. And we should see the fulfillment of the prophecy, V'hekitzu v'ranenu sheichnei afar. Amen b'karav mamash. Okay, so what did we? What's the summation of what we learned last year? We were learning about the worlds, right? It's Bria, Yitzira, Asiya. We spoke about the Yesh emerging from the Ayin, why it's called Ayin. We learned about the idea of machshava, dibur, maisa, thought, speech, action. The world of Bria is connected to machshava, the world of Yitzira to the world of speech, the world of Asiya to the world of maisa. And it's important to understand that these are all layers. In other words, just like by a person, my thoughts are then manifested in words. My words are then manifested in behaviors. That's what machshava, dibur, maisa is. But the person observing it could see different layers. I know it from within. I know what I'm thinking. I know how my thinking creates the words, and I know how the words create behaviors and actions. But from the outsider, all you may see is an action. You may not even see the person doing the action, right? You just see a table that was built, or a beautiful candelabra that was constructed, or a home, or a palace, or a museum that was made, or a piece of art that was painted, or a beautiful statue that was sculptured, al pi halacha. So we only see the outside. There may be a deeper layer where I could see actually the words. It says about the Mezritcher Magid, it's interesting, that he once saw a keli, he saw a vessel that was built, a beautiful vessel, and he said that the Uman, the craftsman who built this, was blind on one eye. It was an interesting thing. It turned out but the pshat is, the Mittler Rebbe writes this, that he saw the koyach hapoyel benifel. In other words, when you create something, your energy is there. I just don't see it because I just see a table. But somebody who's sensitive to the deeper frequencies of reality, they see beyond. So just like your energy is in your words, your energy is in your creations. It's there. So he could see, what does it have to do that the person was blind in one eye? Because he saw the energy, the personality, and the struggles and the reality of that person came out in the creation. And this is true in everything. It's just the question is the sensitivity of the eyes. So when we see the world, we see asiya, meaning we just see physical action. In the world of Yitzira, it's the same world, but you see the frequency of dibur. It's like just like it took us thousands of years to detect sound waves. They were always there, but that wasn't part of our reality. It wasn't part of our vocabulary. Nobody, if somebody would tell you, not a long time ago, just less than 200 years ago, right, that somebody is sitting in Australia or in Israel or in Moscow and speaking, and you're in America and hearing it, you would lock him up in an asylum, and for good reason. For good reason. There's no such a thing. If you want to talk to me, come talk to me. Come talk to me. No, you're in Australia and you're talking. And then the telegram and the telegraph. This is all before radio, television, and before faxes, and then before internet, and before WhatsApp. Yeah. At the time, a little before the airplanes is 1902. The Wright brothers, 1903, 1902. The Wright brothers. Huh? They got it right. Very good. Yeah. The person would think you're crazy. There's no such a thing. That communication wasn't available. Not because it wasn't there, because we didn't have the kalim to detect it. So this is all a mashal. In the world of Yitzir, it's the same world. But when you're looking at a table, what are you seeing? You're seeing the dibur. B'dvar Hashem Shemayim Na. So that's why it's connected to angels, malachim. It's true. It's true. Yeah, somebody once told me, yeah, it's true. A lot of things people say and you think they're crazy, but they're just talking a little bit ahead of their time. And they don't have always the kalim to package it. If they would be billionaires, yeah. Somebody once told me about a big vir, he says, and if he wouldn't have money, when I'm a shugana. Today he's considered an eccentric genius. Because he has money, so he became an eccentric genius. Somebody once said, what's the difference between a mystic and somebody who's officially mentally challenged? Yeah. He says the mystic knows who to tell it to. He makes a retreat in South America. It costs you $20,000. He does. He knows how to tell it. The other guy sits in shul and just says it to everybody. So that's, Yeah. Packaging, as we say. And then you have machshava. Machshava is a deeper frequency. That's olam habriya. Over there you tune into the machshava. So it's very, very pnimiyistic. Right? Imagine you could see not just the layers of words, but also the layers of thought. But that's all considered briya. And then there's what's called olam hatzilus. This is already called iyu, he himself. Iyu v'chayoyichad, iyu v'garmayichad. Where he and his spheres are completely one. Which means it's not even called yesh, it's not called a creation, it's called atzilus, which means it's not bria. Bria is creation. Atzilus is, in English, it's called emanation. When you emanate something from you, like you emanate, it's in Chumash, Parshas Ba'aloischa, v'atzalti, that's where the word atzilus comes from. V'atzalti min haruach asher alecha. Moshe didn't create the 70 elders. They were there. Hashem said, I'm going to, v'atzalti, Rashi says, kamadlik ner min ner, like lighting a candle from a candle. The candle doesn't create a new fire. The fire was there. The fire is just passed on. The baton, the torch is passed on. That's how Atzilus is really an emanation from before. The way the Ein Sof is manifested and channeled through particular characteristics, but it's still Ihu. And that's why it's the interface between Ein Sof, Echad HaEmes, the pure, undefined infinity, Hu Levadu, Hu Ve'en Zolase, and all of the worlds. That's the union of Atzilus. Right, that was what we discussed at length. And from there he went on to discuss that in Atzilus Gufa, the beginning is Chachma. Because Chachma is Bittel, Koyach Ma, and that's why Chachma is the space that is spaceless. The space that's spaceless is Chachma, because Chachma is Bittel. Like he explained that Chachma it's so much Bittel that it's considered Oir without Keli. Not because it doesn't have a Keli. It has a Keli, but because Chachma is Bittel, so Chachma der Hert, Chachma experiences that it's a channel. That's the whole union of Chachma, and that's why Chachma is the first Svira, because in Chachma could be the hergish, the experience of Hu Levadei Hu Ve'en Zulasa. It's the beginning. Right. In other words, usually all the Sviras is Eiris B'Kelim, it's energy, but in a vessel, in a container. Containers are structures. That's what containers mean. They define. They give some definition. Just like physically, a container gives shape to the coffee, shape to the water, right? A mold, it's a mold. A mold gives shape to something. Spiritually, we're talking spiritually, but spiritually it gives shape. The word chesed, already that word is a shape. Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Chayt, Yisod, Malchus. Chachmosa has a shape. But because the very shape of it is that it's shapeless, it's bittul, it's connected to what is higher, and it's about, Chachma is all about surrender. Practically, it's expressed in absolute curiosity, not holding on to stories. Right? And that's probably one of the most powerful tools of growth. Right? When an emotion hits you or an idea hits you, to say, interesting perspective, maybe not. I don't have to know. I don't have to figure it all out. Part of living with control, when we want to be in control, is that we have to figure things out. The first people we have to figure out are the people around us. We have to know everything about them, and we have to already make a psak din and react based on that. Chachma is, I could live with open space. I could live with, okay, this is what it's feeling now, just to be open. You understand what I'm saying? We create fixed stories about this person, that person, your son, your daughter, your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your wife, your husband, whatever, Pliny Almighty. And it's because of reasons, there's a reason. A place of bittul, it's a hard place to be in because it's just an openness. It's koyach ma, and maybe there's much more, and maybe it's me. I don't know. It's an ability to say I don't know, but not from a place of weakness, from a place of strength. Chachma is not weakness. Chachma is strength, because Chachma opens you up to things that you didn't know. Sometimes people say I don't know because they don't want to know. That's not Chachma. Chachma is not active ignorance, you know. Yeah, it's fear. It's fear. I don't know. I don't take positions. Yeah, they said there was once a fight between two people. They were looking up. It was 5 a.m, and they looked up. Was it the sun or the moon? You know, sometimes 5 a.m, you can see it. So one person said it's the sun. The other person said in the moon. They got into a huge fight. They decided the next person, they made a bet, $1,000. The next person they meet, he's going to be the paisik. The next person they met, they didn't realize that he's spineless and he doesn't take positions. So they say, what is this? The sun of the moon. He says, sorry, I don't live in the neighborhood. You know, I live in Lakewood. I don't live in Muncie. I can't take a position. The sun of the moon is for Muncie. It's not for Lakewood. Yeah. So that's not Chachma. That's fear of having a position. There was a Yid I grew up with, so you know in Yiddish you say, was machst du? Which means, how are you? So he would say, ich mach sich nicht wissendig. Was machst du? I make believe I don't know. Ich mach sich, in Yiddish it works beautifully, in English it doesn't work. Right? Ich mach sich nicht wissendig. The Mendel Futtefas would say, we say al chet shechatanu lefanecha beyoidim u'belo yoidim. For the sin that we sinned knowing and not knowing. So what's beyoidim u'belo yoidim? He says, al chet shechatanu lefanecha, again I have to say it in Yiddish, beyoidim meveist. U'belo yoidim, macht sich nicht wissendig. Beyoidim u'belo yoidim. You know, but you make believe you don't know. It's hell if I don't know. Ich weiß nicht. I'm dumb, I never heard, I never saw, I'm stupid. Yeah. Only in Yiddishkeit you have an averim. Lo yagid v'nasa avayna. You don't have it in the secular world. If you saw something and you don't say, v'nasa avayna, you carry the sin. It's a chiddush in Yiddishkeit. Other people, you don't want to say, don't say. What do you have to schlep to court? In Yiddishkeit, im lo yagid v'nasa avayna. It's a very interesting mitzvah, right? People don't always practice it in our community. Sometimes the opposite. Huh? Im lo yagid v'nasa avayna. Yeah, you carry the sin because of the fact that you saw it was bashgacha. Yeah, when Moshe Rabbeinu saw an Egyptian beating a Jew, he didn't say, Ich weiß nicht, I'm busy, I didn't take a coffee, my wife is calling me, my mother is calling me. As the Taich, he saw there's no man, and he did it. So Chachma, I'm just explaining this because some people could think Chachma is, I don't know anything, I'm dumb, I'm stupid. That's not Chachma. It's like we speak about Emunah. Emunah is not that you're dumb and stupid and blind and you don't want to think. Emunah is higher than Seichel, it's not lower than Seichel. Chachma is not lower than Bina, it's higher than Bina. It's the place where not knowing is the strongest thing you can do, the most powerful thing you can do. Sometimes you know exactly what to do and how to do it. And then, of course you do. Of course you do. It's not the moral, Chachma is not moral relativism of we know nothing. We don't know who's a man, we don't know who's a woman, we don't know who's right, we don't know who's wrong. That's Harvard University. That's not Chachma. That's Shtus. That's Klippa. That's what supports evil. We don't know, we can't take positions. It's called spinelessness. It's called moral relativism. Moral relativism is the beginning of the decline of every society. Depends on the context. Everything depends. It sounds sophisticated, right? As somebody said, she should have advised to Himmler to put up a sign in Auschwitz. Depends on context. Everything depends on context. From one perspective, it's giving people jobs, right? Everybody in Auschwitz was working, so it gave people jobs. They weren't homeless. Free room and board. They gave them food. They gave them a place to sleep. They didn't have to pay rent. They didn't charge rent. Everything depends on context. So this is literally, this is the corruption of a society. Because then you undo everything. There's nothing that's good. There's nothing that's sacred. Everything is a question. That's not Chachma. When the Chachma Kayach Ma is the bittel, it allows the person, it's much deeper. It's not an excuse to run away from reality. It's open to how deep reality is. You understand? The first one is you don't want to touch reality. There's reality. There are men and women. Sorry. When you abort a baby, you're killing something. Whatever you want to say, you're killing something. There's a difference between evil and good. You don't like it, talk to the one who created the world, but there's a difference between evil and good. Chachma is not undermining reality. What Chachma is saying is reality has so much more than I know. Chachma doesn't say, maybe the sun doesn't rise in the east. No, the sun rises in the east. At least in the world that we live in. I mean, I know you could redefine east and west and redefine space and time. But Chachma is not here to undo reality. What it is to do is to undo the limits of reality. To undo the forcing reality into my box. This is who my wife is, this is who my husband is, this is who my daughter is, this is who my son is, and I'm already angry and I'm already triggered, when you could just remain with absolute curiosity. And it's hard because the emotional triggers that we get are not from Chachma. Right? The animal soul puts an emotional trigger, somebody's triggering you very deeply, and Chachma is like, I don't have to figure it out. I don't have to right now figure it out. I can just surrender to the fact that there's truths that are much, much deeper than me. And it's a very deep space. So this is just one way how it manifests practically in our life. I'm just trying to bring out, but it's always associated with bittul. And then he says that, however, to get from Chachma, Chachma is just it's a glimmer. Chachma is the first glimmer of consciousness. It's called Reishis HaSfiris, right? Reishis HaGilu is Chachma, the beginning. Excuse me. From Chachma to get to Briya Yitzira Asiyah, which is Machshava Dibra Maisa, Chachma comes into what's called Midas. Just like by a person. He explained the way Seder Hishtalshelus works by a person. You don't just get to Machshava Dibra Maisa Stam. There's a Hishtalshelus. There's a process. And the process that he spoke about is quoting the Tanya Perek Chaf, there's awareness. Awareness then can produce or evolves or could evolve into emotion, which is not just awareness, but it's actually an excitement about it, in the positive or in the negative. Right? The body is actually excited about it. This is what we call midos. Right? So he says it begins, the reality is in the koyach hachachma and the seichel. You simply have awareness of something. It's known to you. Then you can gravitate to it emotionally. It's exciting, it's enthralling, it's attractive. So that's where midos come in. And then there is the choice to actively think about it. Think about it. Maybe how to attain it, how to achieve it, how to implement it, how to execute it, how to get close to it. And then I can talk about it as part of the machshava next level. Right? I want to achieve it, so I need to talk to somebody. I need to consult with somebody. I need to ask somebody for a favor. And then there's the actions that you may do in order to produce that. So it's a hishtalshalos. It started with chachma. It always starts with chachma. And then there's chachma, there's bina, there's awareness. Yeah, so that's very important. That's very important. L'cha'ira, even in the first stage you have machshava. Even in awareness you have thoughts, right? He says here, first is awareness, and then you gravitate emotionally, and then you start thinking about it. The truth is, how do we have awareness of something? When we're aware of something, we can also start thinking about it, right? If you're learning something, if you're finding out about something, you could think about it. In fact, our awareness comes into machshava. How do you process things that you're aware of? You think about them. That's true. But over there, the machshava is part of the awareness. In other words, it's not a separate thing. It's not about the oisis ha-machshava. It's not about the oisis ha-dibur. He's talking here about machshava dibur ma'aseh as taking on an identity. It's true, when you're aware of an idea, you'll sometimes automatically start thinking about it. And there the machshava is just a facilitator of the awareness. It's not machshava as a separate thing. Also, there's awareness outside of machshava. You're aware of things without thinking about them. It's almost like a picture. Just like you want things without thinking about them or talking about them. It's almost like you're just aware of it. Right? If I ask you a question, somebody once gave me this marshal, how many things are you aware of in your life? How many realities are you aware of? Like, how far does your awareness extend? What would you answer? How many people are in your awareness? How many people are on the face of the earth? At least 100, probably 1,000, maybe even 10,000, right? Maybe 20,000. Now I know that you know there's 7.7 billion people, but I mean in terms of people that you know, there's awareness not of one person, right? But how many people can you actually actively think about simultaneously? One. Maybe you can think about your family, so it's a few people, right? But you're aware, even while you're thinking about one person, you're still aware of another 10,000 people in your life. You know all your neighbors, you know all the people you grew up with, you know all your cousins, you know your community, you know all the people that you hear about in the news. I mean, we all know people, you know people of history.
To give an example, if you look at a picture, you see the whole picture in one split second, and you understand everything's happening. But if you start talking about the details...
Right. It's like that, if you see a whole picture, you saw the whole picture, and it's in your awareness. And it's literally a picture. If you want to start machshava and dibur, now it's already granular. Yeah? Now you may think about this part of the picture, you may talk about this part of the picture. So in awareness, and awareness is not just people, what else is in your awareness? Yeah? All the places that you ever traveled are part of your awareness. Everything that happened while you're growing up is part of your awareness. Right? When you came when you were 7 years old and you came late to school, right? What happened? You got a Danish when you came late to school? Yeah. Rabbi Shimon Russell says that when a kid comes late to school, the principal should call him in and say, wow, it's not easy to come to school at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and get looks. That means you were struggling this morning, it was hard for you to get to school, and you still came. You get a special reward. So that's what should happen. Right, so anything that happened when you were 7, 8, 9, you may have forgotten it, but it's in your awareness. But you're not thinking about it. I don't think every day you think about, first grade. Some people do. How many? How many Danishes you got for coming late, yeah? It's a little different than when somebody here in the class told me that when he drops off his kid the first day of school, he tells the principal or the dean of the school, he says, I ask you one favor. Please don't do anything with my child this year. The only thing I ask is don't destroy him. You don't have to give him anything. You don't have to build him up. You don't have to teach him anything. The only thing I ask you is don't destroy him. If I can get back the kid I gave you without any additions, shine yatzas chare, gewaldig, shine. Revach naki. Yeah, it's already ahead of the game.
When you have this experience where you see your whole life within a second.
Of course. Yeah, you could see your whole life in a second. Yeah, that happens sometimes, right? And it's all there. Every detail is there. But it's not machshava. It's a very, very deep level of awareness, right? That's like chachma in its core, where everything is one nakuda. It's a seminal point. So there's awareness. You can have awareness of everything that happened to you. All the people you ever met, all the people you ever read about, all the books you ever read, all the stories, it's all part of your awareness. But you're not thinking about it actively. It's impossible. You could think about one thing. You can't even have two machshavas at one moment. I mean, you could go back and forth, and if you're, good ADHD, there's a lot going on simultaneously. So that's what the Rebbe is saying. So it starts always with awareness, and awareness transcends machshava. Even if there's machshava there, the machshava is embedded in the awareness. It's like pregnant. It's not about thought. Even if you start thinking about things you're aware of, then from awareness, there's the emotional experience of it. That's not awareness. I can be aware of something and not be emotionally involved. Not even have any emotion. It's something completely distant. And then there's awareness that it becomes embodied. Right? That's why it always comes through das, because das is the bridge between the mind and the body, between moichin and midas is always das. Das is literally the Brooklyn Bridge that you need to cross to get from Brooklyn to Manhattan. And the bridge can be congested. Sometimes you can go on the bridge and it takes a minute, and sometimes you could be stuck on a bridge for a very long time. The bridge between the mind and the body, or in the Lashon Achsidus, between moichin and midas, can be easy, and it can be congested. And sometimes it can be congested for many years, because it has to go through the Meitzar Hagarin. It has to go through the throat, and that's a very, very narrow highway, and there's a lot of traffic there. A lot of reroutes, a lot of accidents, a lot of trucks that get tired, a lot of lunch breaks, etc., etc. There's a lot over there. So that highway is not easy. And that's das, is that bridge between the awareness, and not just awareness, but excitement. The awareness does something to me. My heart actually opens up. It's an embodied experience of the awareness. That das is the key, because das is hiskashrus. Das is intimacy. V'ha'adam yada es chava. I could be aware of something, but it's not intimate. That's why das requires self-awareness, because das is the bridge to bring it into you. It's irrelevant. Das is intellectual intimacy, so to speak. It's real. It's visceral. It resonates in my body. The knowledge resonates in my body. And once it resonates in your body, it's going to create an emotion. That's the next step. That's the bridge. Because the body is very, very, the nervous system will pick up on it, and the nervous system will tell the body, ooh, this is something to love. This is geschmack. This is geschmack, and the heart opens up. So this is all internal awareness and internal emotion. Then comes machshava dibra ma'isa. Now you can say, and now I have to think about, how do I get this? This is active thinking. Or now I have to talk to my friend about this, I have to talk to a partner, I have to talk to an investor, whatever it is. And then there's ma'isa. So you see the hishtalshalus. You can't just, from chachma to machshava, chachma was an openness to a new idea. It was bittul, echad emes. But to get from chachma to ma'isa, there's a hishtalshalus. There's yediyah, there's chachma, there's seichel, there's binah, there's das, there's midas, and then there's machshava, and then there's dibba, and then there's ma'isa. And that's generally what we call seder hishtalshalus. And then he added one last point. That was the end of last year. That don't think that oisius emerge from the midas. You remember? This was the big idea. Oisius don't, even though they come after the midas, they don't emerge from the is a child has very strong emotion, even more than adults, as he says. Event, shreit, mont, he cries, he screams, he demands, and sometimes you can't calm him down. That's how intense the emotional cravings and experiences are, whether he's throwing a tantrum or he's excited about something, whether he's giggling or he's sobbing. There's certainly midas. He's certainly embodying something, right? His body is responding big time. I'm comfortable, I'm uncomfortable, I hate the situation, I love this situation. I'm very, very upset, I'm scared, I'm overwhelmed. But there's no words. He can't say a word. So it's not like midas translates into dibur, no. Not only that, even when he's older and there could be some awareness, a katan who has havana, still there's not dibur. So he says, because dibur, words are actually rooted in a much deeper place. It's called kadmos hasechel. This is what we explained at length. This is in the Tanya at length, in the Geras HaKodesh Perek Siman Hey. It's a long, long section about the Rebbe explains that words are not like a violin or an instrument where you have to practice in order to press, or piano, you have to practice in order to know which keys to press in order to produce the sound. So l'cha'odah, that's how speaking should work. It doesn't work that way. Most people are not even aware of the physiological processes that occur in their body before a single sound is uttered. I don't know what just happened for me to say the words. I don't know what just happened for me to say the words. I don't know what just happened for me to say the words. I have no idea at all. If you ask me what happened, if you're a pianist or a violinist or a celloist, and I ask you, wow, that was incredible, that symphony, that ballad. Can you tell me what you did? And you could, yeah, you could. If you have patience, you'll sit me down and say, yeah, this is what I did. First of all, I had to press this key and whatever, etc. And that's why you have to practice for years. And what do they say? It takes 10,000 hours of practice to hone your skill of music or anything else, basketball or music. 10,000 hours of practice. Huh? Avada. More than 10,000 hours. V'gisa b'yom v'layla. Hasoyif einecha boy ve'einenu. Gemara Megillah. Im tazveni yom yamayim ezveka. It's constant, constant, constant. When it comes to speaking, most people don't even know the physiological process. You have to study it, and it's a tremendous chachma. What happens at this age, that the child starts saying words? And ad hayom hazeh, science still doesn't know this. This is one of the mysteries. We see what happens, the peditofus, what happens, and the Alter Rebbe says that there's a certain connection that's created between the subconscious and the conscious that allows for dibur. Something from kadmus haseichel, from the etzem hanefesh. His oisius come from etzem hanefesh. So it's a completely unconscious experience. The etzem hanefesh is guiding everything, and the body is just responding to the ratzon, to the will, and the etzem, and the core of the soul that wants to say these words. But the way it comes out is only after seichel and midas. So there's two elements in oisius. Its shaydish, its root, is in a place that's pre-midas and pre-seichel, etzem hanefesh, or as we're calling it here, chachma. But to activate it, to reveal it, to come out, it comes out after hishtalshlus. It comes out after seichel, after midas. It's like a container for them, because when really, what are oisius? Oisius on one level are really nothing. They're like packages. What are oisius? You could learn Mishnayos Baal Peh and know all the oisius and not understand a word, right? Me'emasai, Kaidin, Eshma, Ba'arvin. People know Ashrei Baal Peh. A lot of people, Ashrei Yatzai, say, I don't know what it means. Having the letters of something means you have nothing. There's people who can hear a shiur, they heard all the words, but they don't understand nothing. Present company, hopefully excluded. Yeah, just like you told me once about somebody that his shver said, his shver said, my Edom has a chush, zoktun, 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 zokt garnished. Yeah? Huh? Yeah. So that's from the speaker's perspective. That's already even a better chush, a bigger chush. To say and say and say and say and say. Rabbi Yoel Khan once said about somebody, he used to teach a lot, he said he's the only person he knows as Maz Bezachem was allein versteht nicht. He explains to other people things that he himself doesn't understand. It was Hagdara. Madaf Kenan, yeah. You need a special Sayata Deshmaya to speak and speak and speak and say nothing. But people can hear, they heard all the words. They taka heard the words and they memorized it. People do it with davening. They know the whole davening Baal Peh. They walk back and forth. Yeah, in 5 minutes they're done. They even know V'urachum by heart. But it doesn't mean anything. So in other words, you can have all the oisius. You could, theoretically, you could learn Shisha Sidra Mishnah Baal Peh if you have a good memory. Yeah? But you don't understand a single word. So on one level, you can have all the oisius and you have nothing. You don't have the seichel, you don't have the midas. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. In the Me'imai. So it's a completely different process over there. Over there it's Chachma, huh? Who would say? The Muskal Rishon, yeah.
would say that Oisius is a mechanism of bringing outside.
Atazai.
Is a mechanism to bring out the
Very good. So on one level, you would say, what are Oisius? Oisius are literally packaging. It's simply packaging. You have ideas, but what do you do with those ideas? Inside of me, I have awareness. But Machshava and then Dibur concretizes it. It packages it. Yeah? You write an article. What happens when you write it? Other people can benefit from it because you put it into paragraphs, sentences. If it would have remained in your imagination, nobody would be able to benefit. So ISIS is really a delivery boy. It's a brilliant delivery boy. It's an unbelievable mechanism that God created that we can actually communicate our ideas first to ourselves and then to others. Machshava is you communicating to yourself, and then Dibur is you communicating to others. And everybody knows, depends on how well you communicate with yourself is how you communicate with others. Like Reb Chaim said, Reb Chaim Briska, se felt in asbara, felt in havana. If you can't communicate to others, it's because you didn't communicate to yourself. That's how I'm putting his words. You understand? You first communicate with yourself, which is what Havana means. So there's Havana on a level pre-Isis, just awareness, but then there's Machshava, which is actually processing it with all of the details, and that's where Isis come in. So on one level, Isis are Chitzonius. It's just external. It's like you take the wrapper of the chocolate bar, but you don't have the chocolate. Because inside the chocolate wrapper, there's supposed to be chocolate. Right? Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin. What are they? A, Ba, Ga, Da, Hay, Vav. But when you put it in a certain way, it contains and it channels an idea. Av, Father. Baruch, blessed. Ata, you. Melech, king. So what's Mem, Lamed, Ches? Malach, Melech. What? Right? I could say words in Russian. I could read a transliteration of Russian or French or Italian or Arabic. What is it? Nothing. You're saying all the words right. You're saying all the words right, but it doesn't mean anything. Because language is only as valuable as what it contains. So on one level, Isis is on the bottom of the rung. It's all the way on the bottom. It's literally the delivery boy. Write the letter, print it out, put it in an envelope, stamp it. Now the delivery boy, go bring it to the other place. That's it. Isis is simply a delivery boy. In fact, the word Isis, the Alter Rebbe says, comes from the word Asa, Boiker v'gam loyla. In Aramaic, Asa means comes. Asa rebacha, he came. Asa Voiker, it's a pasuk in Yeshaya. Asa Voiker, those who say, Hamavdil ben kodesh l'choil, chatasenu yimchel, right? Zarenu v'chaspenu yarba chachoil. So the Asa Boiker v'gam loyla. The morning comes and then night comes. So Isis is really, it's just a delivery boy for it to come, for it to arrive. How is this envelope going to get to California? I need to put it in the mail, and there's a delivery boy who sends it. That's what ISIS are, deliveries. So the delivery is just a delivery man, that's it. He doesn't have a shaykhs to the substance. And he may carry the envelope, but he doesn't know what it says in the envelope. People could have the ISIS, they don't know what it says in the ISIS. In Gemara there's an expression, Lo yada mai ka'amar. You're speaking and you don't know what you're saying. Right, there's always a question, if you're allowed to give an Amaritz who doesn't know anything of Lashon Kodesh, and you call him up to the Torah and he makes a Birchas HaTorah, but he doesn't understand the words. So the Chazal say that with Torah Shebiksav, Afilu lo yada mai ka'amar. Even if you don't know what you're saying, the Oisies themselves, that's also Torah Shebiksav. Torah Shebal Peh not. Torah Shebal Peh you need to understand. If not, you're not to the midst of Talmud Torah. Torah Shebiksav, the letters themselves already are because of the Kedushas Oisius. But that's the point, that the Oisius could be empty. So that's on one level, the Oisius are lower. Comes this Maamar and says, no, that's half the picture. Really, it's not like you would think that Oisius are lower. Really, Oisius come from a much higher source. And that's why even a child who has Midas and has Seichel still necessarily doesn't have Dibur, because that requires a whole different, so to speak, skill set, which is much deeper.
Different activation point.
Yeah, yeah. So even though it comes out at the end, it's rooted in something that's higher than everything else. So really it's pshat like this, like you said. You would think the whole inyan of Oisius is to bring out Seichel and Midas. The Rebbe is saying really the inyan of Seichel and Midas is to be able to give an opportunity for the Oisius to come out. Because the Oisius can't be activated in a conscious, concrete way without the Seichel and Midas. Yeah. The Veis was the Retz, or the Retz was the Veis? Yeah. You know what you're talking about, or you're just saying everything you know? I once heard from a Biel Khan, he was talking about Reb Chaim Zimmerman. He knew him. So Reb Chaim Zimmerman was a big gun. He was a nephew of the Baruch Ber, no? The Baruch Shmuel. So he was a big gun. He was a genius. Reb Chaim Zimmerman, and it was in the literature world, he was well known. He was an interesting man. So he once told us, it was actually Purim, it was Fabri. He said, Reb Chaim Zimmerman told him about two Svarim, two Mechabrim, two Rosh Hashivas that made Svarim on Gemara. So he says, the first one, he says, Zeya Hoich, he speaks high in it. The Reid, as it's called in Yeshiva, the Reid, his shmuzin are very, very deep and intricate, and with lumdas, with tremendous higoyin, aber versteht gar nicht, was schreibt. He understands nothing. He says, the other one, yeah, he says, schreibt Poshet, aber versteht, was sagt. He wrote a sefer, actually, he knows what he's saying. The other one, he knows the terms, he throws around them, but he didn't know what he was saying. So, Veis was that was a Veis. So here we have a big chiddush, that even though Oisius come from a higher place, but they're only going to be activated through Seichel and Midas. That's where they come out. So that's why the child, only when that link is created between the Etzem HaNefesh and the conscious self, which requires more age, more growing up, that's when Dibur begins. So Dibur has a mystery in it that's much deeper than what sees the eye. It's not just you want to say an idea, so you got to say it. You think it and then you say it. No. There's something much deeper happening. Proof, because the whole mechanism is something you're not aware of. There's something unconscious that's guiding it. If it's just like, I want to say something and therefore I need words because that's how you're going to understand what I'm saying, right? So then it should be like a musician. So sit down by the piano and figure out how to say it. It's not what happens. So the whole mechanism of Dibur is unconscious. You don't plan any of it. And nobody even realizes this, right? This whole Torah, which is from the Alter Rebbe, nobody realizes this, right? You never thought about asking, why am I not like a piano? Why don't I have to sit 10,000 hours and practice my words? Now I want to say a ba, ga. You know how long communication would take, yeah? We would all sit. Actually, maybe the world would be a better place. Certain people wollten geschwiegen, as ach besser, right? Maybe it wouldn't be so bad. But we don't even realize. Nobody realizes the miracle of what a word is. Besides the fact that you have all the physical abilities to say a word, that's the big miracle. But an equally big miracle. How did you get that out? What just happened? 300 things in the body simultaneously had to mutually cooperate with another 3,000 things in the back end, with another 3 million things in the back end, with another 3 billion things in the back end to get out that sentence. And you don't even know. You were asleep. You were talking in your sleep, literally. What we're learning is that whenever we're talking, we're really talking in our sleep because we don't know what's going on. Your typhus. So this is a geval, a moide de kevart, that Oisius have a mystery. They're not just delivery boys. You shouldn't hear my thoughts. So I'm sharing. I want you to understand what I'm feeling, so I have to talk. Avada, that's the way it comes out. It comes out as a lavush for seichel and midas. But from the mechanism you see that it's really rooted in an unconscious place that's higher than seichel and midas. But for it to come out, it needs the seichel and midas almost as a cover-up. It comes out as a cover-up, like a spy. Like, in other words, I used to say, oh, I don't have a personality. Tell me what you want to say and I'll say it. My wife has a joke about me, but it's not a joke. It actually happened. We were dating a couple of years ago. So she was trying to tell me something. It's a psnishke gegangen. So I don't know, I just blurted out. I said, tell me what you want to say and I'll say it. Right? So there's tell me what you want to say and I'll say it. So Dibur almost says, because it comes from such an unconscious place, it has the koyach habitl. So because of its koyach habitl, what does it do? It strips itself from everything and says, tell me what you want to say and I'll say it. You understand the oimek of Oisius? Oisius don't need their own personality. Ideas have egos. Emotions have egos. That's what they are. Oisius, I'm just a delivery boy. And really comes from a much deeper place. Huh? Yeah. And that's why Dibur, Oisius have a magic that the concept itself doesn't have. By Chassidim they used to say, and the Rebbe would say there's something called Oisius Harav. By Chazada, those who already by the Alter Rebbe, they always knew there were two types of people. There were those who chazer the concepts of the Maamar, and there were those who chazered Oisius Harav. The words of the Rav, the way he said it. Huh? Which one do you do? Rabbi Yoel Khan he was do the Chazara by the Rebbe Matzai Shabbos after the Farbrengens. So he was a maskil. He liked when things worked together. So sometimes he would chazer, the people would correct him. So he would sometimes start chazering, and then somebody would say, the Rebbe has gesagt anders. Like, so if the person didn't understand what they would say, he would get very, very upset. Because he wanted to show the concept. He wanted to show the truth of it. But there's something called Oisius Harav. What's the mile of Oisius Harav? What's the difference? These Oisius, that Oisius. Because of this. Because Oisius are not just delivery boys. Just get me the envelope. I don't care if you went through this route. What do I care if Google Waze took me through Linkquest or took me through Forshay? You got to the house. That's if Oisius would just be a delivery boy. Get me to my destination. I don't care what Waze does. You want to take me through the Palisades? Take me through the Palisades. You have another way? Take me through the New Jersey Turnpike. I don't care. Just get me there and get me there fast. But that's not Oisius. Oisius are not just highways. Oisius are revealing the subconscious of the nefesh. Because it's so deep in the person, it comes from Chachma, it also has bittul. So the bittul is that it strips itself from every personality, any personality trait, and it just says, I'm a channel. In other words, the emptiness of Oisius is because of its tremendous bittul. You hear the word? It's not a pashta inyan. It strips itself from personality because it's so powerful. It doesn't have to have a self. It could say, I'm here to serve. The Rebbe once said about Chanukah, an interesting thing. You see that the shamash is higher usually than all the other candles. The shamash, the chashamash. It's a gabbai. The gabbai shouldn't be higher than the Rebbe. The gabbai should be under the menorah. Huh? Very good. So the Achter Rebbe's, the gabbai is in charge. Very good. Very good. 8 brothers killing each other, so you need a good gabbai to run the show. Zog is good. That's like a good Litvische joke. Very good. Very good. So he said like this, Gewaldige Wort. He says, somebody asks you, what's tonight? The third night of Chanukah. How many candles do you light? 3. He says, no, there's 4. He doesn't count. He's the shamash. How many candles tonight? 8 candles. There's 9. Nah, he doesn't count. Every night he doesn't count. So what is he? He's here to light all the other candles. So the Rebbe said, when a Yid comes to that point, that he doesn't have to count, sein ganze Inyan is to light other candles, he's higher than the whole Menorah. Yeah. When he comes to that hergish, that he doesn't have to count, you don't have to put me, it's fine. You don't have to put me in the ad. You don't have to, I don't need the honors. You don't have to, but we're talking not that he's, like I told you, the guy who said the best feeling in the world is to do something anonymously and then somebody finds out. We're not talking about that. If a person comes to that space, he's taka higher than the Menorah. And that's why he doesn't need to be counted. It's fine. Not because he's insecure. It's because he's a channel. You understand the difference? There's a difference. One is, I'm a shmata, I'm a martyr. You know people who walk around, I'm a martyr. I'm a martyr. And I need everybody to know that I'm a martyr. And every time they meet you, they tell you what a martyr they are, because they have Mesidas Nefesh for their family. I once heard a mother tell her children, do you know how much I had to sacrifice to stay married to your father so that you wouldn't be part of a divorced, broken family? You understand what that did to the kids? So what did the kids say? You should have gotten divorced. Don't turn yourself into a martyr. You had pain. You're allowed to acknowledge your pain. But you said when people have Mesidas Nefesh on everybody else's cheshbon. So now everybody has to feel guilty because I became a shmata because of you. So I didn't become a shmata because I want you to feel like a shmata because you made me. So now you're guilty that I have a miserable life. That's not a nice thing to do to kids. They have enough tzadas from their parents' marriage. You don't have to now make them guilty that they destroyed their mother's life or father's life. I'm not judging anybody because this woman was in a lot of pain and she wasn't aware of what she was saying. Because if she would have been aware, she would have worked on things a little earlier in her life. But fine. I'm not now doing therapy on this woman. My point is, maybe she's listening, I don't know. But my point is that we're talking about a shamish who doesn't need to be counted. It's a very big difference. It's not like he resents it and will one day somebody, they say a Maisa Bararav, he was in a taxi and the police stopped him. It was with his chauffeur and the police stopped him. And so the chauffeur says, I have the chief rabbi of America. So he says, and Canada too. From behind he says, Canada too. So Isis, you didn't get that. Okay, when you'll be the chief rabbi of America and Canada, you'll understand the joke. One day.
This is the idea of a Navi, where the Osias are coming.
So this is a moide de kavart. We think Isis are lower than Seichel and Midas. The whole purpose of Isis is to bring out the Seichel and the Midas. How are you going to know about my emotions if I don't talk about it? You won't. I have a dream, and I love my dream, but I need partners with my dreams. I need to talk about it. And then I need to get to work. So that's dibur and maisa. And I have to think about it. I can't just talk. I have to have a plan. Right? That's machshava dibur and maisa. Comes the Rebbe and says, Sinishta zay pashat. Really, Isis are much deeper than the Seichel and the Midas. And to produce an ois, you're talking about a part of you that you're not aware of, a haraya, you don't even know what happens. It's such a raya from the Alter Rebbe. It's like a pure scientific pashat raya. You don't even know what happens. If you don't know what happens, so let's talk about that part that does know what happens. Which part is it? You don't even know about that part. It's called kadmus ha-seichel, etzem ha-nefesh. So now let's ask him what's happening. Oh, he has a whole different cheshbon. It reminds me, Stama, it just reminds me. There's a Gemara, famous Gemara, Baba Basra, I think it is. Somebody's walking, Nafal Sela Miki. So your money falls out, you have a hole in your pocket, right? And $50 fall out. And a poor man finds it, and he supports himself. So the Gemara says, it's tzedakah, and there is a mizbarech, you get blessed with all the brachas of tzedakah. You weren't interested in giving tzedakah. Faket. When you see that there was a hole in your pocket, you're like, I'm such a shlamazel, I'm an idiot, I lost the money. In other words, you're upset that you gave tzedakah. Emes. But nonetheless, it's a mitzvah of tzedakah because the other person got it, and you get all the blessings like regular tzedakah. So the way the Welt learns it, the way the Welt learns the Gemara is, Of course, it's not like a regular mitzvah. You know, you weren't interested, you weren't excited, you regret it, you would be happy if it wouldn't fall out your pocket and you would keep it. But sof kol sof, a good thing came out of it, so why shouldn't you get credit? It was your $50, but it's completely disassociated from you. The Rebbe said, so why do you get the same brachas like regular tzedakah? Okay. So this is what the Rebbe said. He said at Parshas Noach Tavshin on Aleph. I was there. For this you have to be the Lubavitcher Rebbe. So he says, no, you don't understand. The Etzem HaNefesh wanted to give tzedakah. But the Etzem HaNefesh knew that the conscious self doesn't want to give tzedakah. So he made sure that there's a hole in the pocket, unconsciously. You should put on that pair of pants. So that the tzedakah you should be able to give tzedakah. But he had to bypass the conscious self, which is resistant. But the Etzem HaNefesh wanted to give it. He says, an Etzem HaNefesh doesn't have to know things in order to do things, because it's L'mayla Miyadiyah. It's Adla Yada. So Mela was his tzedakah, so of course he get all the brachas. Elamai is conscious stuff. He's not ready yet. That's the pshat. Of course it's him. It's a part of him. When we say, I made a mistake, no. Your conscious self thinks you made a mistake. Why do you bring a carbon for a shaygig? You made a mistake. Why do you bring a carbon for a shaygig? You have to go buy a carbon. You made a Pasha's a shaygig. He's a shaygig. He forgot it was Shabbos, and he went down and he made himself an egg. Bro, you have to go to Yerushalayim. You have to travel from New York to Yerushalayim and bring a carbon chatos. For what? A mistake. You Pashat made a mistake. You forgot it was Shabbos today. Zok Rashi in Maseches Shvuos Dav Beis, shaygig boy kapara. And it's the side of all the carbon chatas that even a shaygig you need kapara for. So the Alter Rebbe writes in Tanya, Gam shaygig bo mehis gabrus nefesh habahamas. The animal consciousness, if you're fully in line, you don't make these mistakes. Now, mistakes are mistakes on one level. They're conscious on another level. This doesn't mean you have to live with guilt. It just means you have to know that there's different levels. Huh? Yeah. That's why you need kapara. Take responsibility. Even when I'm doing it in my sleep. Because there's a part of you that is aware of everything. Yeah. On one level, I'm a shaykh. This guy didn't want to give tzedakah. On another level, of course he wanted to give tzedakah. He just couldn't deal with his conscious self. So he said, you know what? We're going to make a hole in the pants today. There's 10 pairs of pants. Why did he choose this pair of pants? I don't know, because it was the first one. No, because his subconscious self says we want to give tzedakah today. You'll say, I never knew this. Of course you don't know this. This is not in there. This taich in the Gemara was very original taich, I have to say. Whenever a Yid does a mitzvah, even if his whole system is screaming, I don't want to, you should know it's not true. His etzem hanefesh wants, and it's doing it with a lot of passion. And fakir, there's even a maila, because his conscious self is not getting involved. Yeah. But over there, the Rambam is talking about koifenoisai. So Lepoil, he's saying roitzani, right? Here, he's not saying roitzani. He's saying, no, I'm upset that the $50 came to the poor man. And if you say, no, a guy found it, maybe he's poor. I want it for myself. It was my lunch. I didn't have lunch today. Huh? Mm. I don't know, what does it say in that case? Okay, so I guess you're saying if he was Toyal or he doesn't get schar. So I guess that's oiker, it's a stira maybe. Okay, echer. Ein katege nasa saneger. So but why am I saying that? I'm saying benegay the oisius. The oisius are coming from the unconscious, and they know exactly what they're doing. And in order to get the oisius out, you need seichel and midas. That was the main akkodah. You toifas the inyan a little bit. That's the magic of Oisius. That's why there was a big inyan in Oisius Harav. Because even the way it was said, it's not about the Teichen. The Teichen is a gewaldike inyan. But the Oisius Harav having it the Etzem HaNefesh. The concept you could say without the Oisius. Yeah, the same concept 3 people could say completely different Oisius. If it's a person, yeah. By everybody, it's true by everybody, but obviously, a person who's more in touch with their etzem hanefesh, obviously the oisius, depends veret. But I'm saying this was a big inyan in all the generations. It's really called he's hit oisius harav. The Alter Rebbe once said he had 3 people who wrote his Maamar. His brother, the Maril, his son, the Mittel Rebbe, and his grandson, the Tzemach Tzedek. There were others, but those were the 3 main. So they say the Alter Rebbe once said the difference. He said, Maharil, his brother, schreibt was ich sag. He writes what I say. The Mittel Rebbe, he called him Beryl, schreibt was ich mein. He writes what I mean. And the Tzemach Tzedek, he called him Mendele, schreibt was ich sag and was ich mein. He writes both. And you see it, the Maharil, most of the Maamarim and Lekut Torah and Torah that we learn is from his brother. So it's pretty loyal to the way it was said. The Mittel Rebbe always recreates the structure, because you could see he took the concepts and he develops it. Even when he's writing his father's Maamarim, certainly when it's his own. And the Tzemach Tzedek, the Alter Rebbe said he did both. He wrote what I said and he wrote what I mean. Very interesting Hagdara. The Tzemach Tzedek was a son-in-law by the Mittel Rebbe and his nephew. And he wouldn't go to his Maamarim. And one of the reasons he said because he wanted Oisis Harav. And the Mittel Rebbe was binne, everything was Bahar Chave, he would expand. And the Tzemach Tzedek wanted Oisis Harav. I'm not going to say there was an argument between them. They were very close and he was very loyal to him. But this was he wanted the Oisis of the Alter Rebbe. And the Mittel Rebbe was Dafke Bahar Chava, even. It was a different avodah. What's the mile of Oisis Harav? You got it right. There's something about Oisis. The way it was said, because it's coming from a Kadmus HaNefesh. And that also means that from the Oisis you can get to a deeper Amkus in the Inyan. Because you're drawing. That's why you see, we learned this in the Maamar of Reb Hillel, that sometimes a person can prepare a shir, and then while you're saying it, you get a new flow of ideas that are much deeper than what you prepared. What happened? Nothing new happened. It's not like you read something new. You're just saying what you prepared. Suddenly, there's a whole new faucet turns on. Why? Because the oisius bring back the seichel to atzmos hanefesh. So the ideas are now refreshed from the wellspring. And in the wellspring, there's much more water. So you get a whole new explosion of ideas in your brain, like, oh, wow. And sometimes that's much more than what you prepared. What's called in Gemara, toisvis meruba ala iker. The profits, the interest, is more than the original money. But what happens? Because the dibur itself takes you back to the source of the seichel. And over there's much more than what you prepared, because it's subconscious. And once you have access to that, it's like, whoa. Yeah, the fire hose doesn't stop. Because it goes back to the Mayonis. It goes back to the Niagara Falls, you know? So what Hillel says in one of the Maamarim. We learned it, Issa b'psikta. Explain what? Yeah. Page 15, you see? So this is all how it's in a person. This is all in a person. And you see this, you see when people speak about things, it changes dynamics. Even though you had it before. It can get you more angry, it can get you more happy. Like talking about it, it's experiencing it much deeper. And by the way, just in parentheses, but this is good marriage therapy. I told you last time, one of the differences between men and women is that men usually often process things before they talk about it. So talking about it is just an additional thing. Women process things while they talk about it. So the woman tells to the husband, let's talk about it. He's like, I dealt with it, enough. It's like you're avoiding the topic. I'm not avoiding the topic. We don't have to talk about it. But she needs to talk about it to process it. It's not done yet till you talk about it. Then you have to talk about it a few times. That's in Kabbalah. It says, and I'm not. Rebbe Rashab writes is that a dibur is malchus, and that's femininity, and that's what the Gemara says in Kedushin. Asara kabin sicha yardu la'olam, etc. Because dibur is malchus, and that has to do with femininity. But in the dibur, something happens. The conversation. So you could say that's how women are, but now we're learning something else. The Rebbe Rashab writes, since bini yisera nitna be'isha, and eisha's chayla teres baila, so the woman knows that by speaking about it, you're going to get to a deeper space. So that's why don't process it before you spoke about it, because the real processing will happen by talking, because dibur will give you access to a more subconscious experience. So it's not stam gzeres hakos of men, women, now go figure it out with all the other fun things between men and women that you got to figure out. But there's a deep inyan here. In other words, that's not like the man should be frustrated. Okay, but Nebuch, since a woman processes a word, so now I have to talk about it. There's a reason that Malchus is margish, Eishes Chayla Teres Bail. If you want to get to that teres, to Kadmos HaSeichel, you need Dibur. You should start listening more. I didn't say you should start talking more. You should start listening more. I'm saying it's all connected. It's not a pashta thing, this. But you typhus the vart, because oisius come from etzem nefesh, they don't have to have a personality. They have bittul. So all they can do is, I'm just here to deliver. I'm here to deliver something else, and I'm here to communicate to somebody else outside of me, which is an inyan of bittul. Which means that real speaking is about bittul. It's also what people don't know. We think when you're communicating, it's like a form of self-expression. Really, it's much deeper than that. That's chitzonius. The real inyan of dibur is actually about the other. It's about listening to the other. That's why it's like the shamash. It's the bittul, to be able to share it with the other. Speaking is not about me hearing myself because I like my voice. If that's the reason I'm trying to speak, I should close my mouth for a couple of years. Yeah, it's beyond ego. Now you'll say it's a funny thing because so many speakers have big egos. That's because they're not speaking. They're trying to validate themselves and filling their abandonment wound through other people listening to them and giving them a standing ovation. So it has nothing to do with speech. It has to do with childhood wounds. I know I'm a speaker. Thank you. When you're speaking for that reason, you're not really speaking. You're actually waiting for the applause after the speech. In order to get the applause, you have to give a speech, but you're not really speaking. Real speaking is bittul. Real speaking is listening. Speaking is listening. Did you understand what I just said? If not, I can't say anything else about it.
We're the loud ones.
Yeah, you're the loud ones, and I'm the one who's quiet. Yeah, that's the truth. The truth is, the only real speaking and communicating is when the listeners are much louder than the one who's speaking. That's the truth. Yeah, you just hit the spot, huh? That's what it is. I'm just telling you how it is. But for that, the speaker has to be worked out and the listeners have to be worked out. So we're working on it. You know what the Baal Shem Tov once said, yeah? The Baal Shem Tov said, a speaker is like a broom. What happens? Your kitchen floor is dirty, yeah? You take a broom, what does the broom do? It sweeps up the kitchen floor. What's the end? The kitchen floor is clean, and where is all the dirt? In the broom. So Baal Shem Tov says that's what happens when I finish speaking. He cleaned up the whole room, and where did the dirt go? Now he has to deal with it. So it's Mesiras Nefesh. Real speaking I'm not the Baal Shem Tov, so I'm not comparing this to me. I'm just telling you what the Baal Shem Tov is saying. A nitzutz. We all have a nitzutz. No, I'm trying to say, because I'm talking about me speaking, and I'm using the Baal Shem Tov. I'm saying, I don't mean chas v'shalom to compare. What I'm saying is, what the Baal Shem Tov was teaching is, that speaking is Mesiras Nefesh. You think he's speaking, he's inspiring everybody. He's taking your dirt. That's what he's taking. It's not a pasha to think. He's a bezim. Yeah, that's what he said. It's a bezim. You understand what that means? He's taking much more. He's listening. You understand the selflessness in that? That's why it comes from etzem hanefesh. That's what real dibur is. If you're speaking because you need it, then you're not speaking. Then you're looking for validation. It's fine. And you'll see the difference. Somebody who's speaking because they're waiting for the feedback, their speech is it's not real. Because it's based on how much feedback and what feedback. Real communication is, there's a wholeness inside of me. And now I'm ready to go to a deeper place and share something for the other for the sake of the other. It's very profound. And paradoxically, the person also grows in that process. Okay. Al derech ze yuvan gam lamaila 15. Shekdei sheye inyan brasiv yitzayte v'afasisiv tzarech liyas inyan tchila inyan kol hanikra b'shvi u'lechvaydi. Hainu loy rak inyan chachmei la reishes chachmei l'lacher is tzarech liyas nemshach gam b'inyan amidis. So the reason it's like this by people, because the whole cosmic system is like this. In order for there to be brasiv, yitzartiv, asisiv, machshava dibra maisa. So first you need kol hanikra b'shvi u'lechvaydi, which means atzilus. But not only chachma, just like we explained by a person. There's chachma, there's bina, there's midis, machshava dibra maisa. So you need chachma. L'achar is atzorech liyas nimshach gam binyan amidis. Ki af al pi she'aba yosad brata. Even though the father has a special relationship with the daughter, you remember what we explained. The father is chachma. The daughter is malchus, dibur. Women are connected to speech. And dibur comes from chachma. True. Oisius come from chachma, which is higher than seichel. It's bittul. Hadei oisius eluheim behelam adayin. V'hainu lefisha chachmi tachlis habittul. V'lachein iyefshe she is galu protim. V'alachas kama v'kama ribu protim. V'adli protim shesoisim zelazeh. Shalei b'chachmi ye'achtus hamitis. Oisius are about protim, diversity. Oisius are granular. Every ois is self-contained. Every word is self-contained. Every sentence is self-contained. Chachma is the ultimate bittul. How do you get from chachma? So much diversity. Pratim. Ribui pratim. And pratim that contradict each other. Meaning, when you talk out an inyan, you have to talk it from all the sides. Thesis. Antithesis. Synthesis. Dialectics. Shnei ksuvma makrishim zeh. That's how dibur works. You bring out this angle, you bring out that angle. In Chachma, there's coherence. In Chachma, there's unity. In Chachma, there's bittul, echad ha'emes. Remember, Chachma is a keli for echad ha'emes. Oisis is all about manifestation, granular manifestation. So from Chachma itself, from Abba itself, to right away come out an Oisis doesn't work. Even though Oisis comes from Chachma. What has to happen? Kadei sheti is galus Oisis. For oisis to emerge. What do I mean by oisis? Ribuy oisis. Vafilu oisis shemen nagdim v'soisim zelazah. And even oisis letters that contradict each other, because that's what letters do, that's what words do. Because they bring out the concept in detail. So they bring out this aspect and that aspect and that aspect. The worst thing you can tell your wife is, you're contradicting yourself. Men love saying that. You're contradicting yourself. Yeah, that ever happens in therapy? You're just contradicting yourself. 5 minutes earlier you said, I'm the best father in the world. And now suddenly I became Haman Agagi. You're contradicting yourself. But that's exactly how Oisius work. Of course you're contradicting yourself. Oisius bring out all the paradoxes. It's like learning a page in Gemara and saying, oh, you're contradicting yourself. Exactly, that's what Gemara looks like. Thank you. Of course I'm contradicting myself. Kashya, tiyufta, apircha, kosol kedaitach. So Oisius come out in all these pratim. Hine b'shvil zeh tzarech liyas inyan hamidus. So Chachma must come into midus. Why? Sheklalusam im chesed gvura. Because midus already is not chachma. Midas is an experience, either chesed or gvura. What's chesed? Chesed is attraction. Gvura is boundaries, restriction. Shazui anesinas makim li'inyanim asoisim zelazeh inyanim nifradim she'enim b'ofen shel achdus. Chesed and gvura gives room for contradictions. In other words, things that are not ba'achdus. It's unbelievable how the Rebbe explains this, like he's like a map of reality. In other words, if everything remains in a place of chachma, everything is coherent, because chachma is the first interface of achdus ein sof to the world. So in chachma, everything is still coherent, even though chachma is a metzias, but the metzias of chachma is no metzias. Oisius is all about details. That's what oisius are. Zug. Why do people use oisius? Why do people use a lot of oisius? Because you want to bring it out more, zug. We need more oisius. That's what oisius do. It's a delivery boy, right? So deliver it. I need more. I don't get it. Come closer. Give me more. Give me a mashal. Give me a hesber. Give me a story. Give me a vort. Oisius is all about pratim, but not just pratim. Also bring out the contradictions. This angle, that angle. So for this, it first has to go through midas, because midas, chesed and gvura. Over here, right away, you have room for stiris, for contradictions. I want to be close, but I also want my own space. Chesed is, I want to be one with you. Gvura is, but I need to be me. Now go figure out that contradiction. This is the essence of all contradictions. I want to be close, but I want to be me. I want to be you. No, I want to be me. I want to be attached, but I want to be me. There's no therapy in the world that doesn't deal with this, if it's real therapy. I want to be attached, but I want to be me. I want to be you, but I don't want to lose myself in you. But I do want to lose myself in you, but I don't want to lose myself in you. Okay. This is very deep. We all want attachment, but we all want authenticity. For me, and it's a paradox, because for me to be attached in a beautiful, loving way, I need to feel that I am attached. But how can I feel that I am attached if I'm attached to you, so now I'm part of you? So good luck with this, because if you figure this out, you figured out a lot. So chesed and gvura is the polar, it's the source of what? Chesed and gvura is the beginning of room that there's contradictions, there's separateness. Yes, there's a difference between attachment and authenticity. You have to accept that. You know why? Because your DNA is not my DNA. One of the maturest things that happens in good relationships is when people realize that their independence doesn't undermine their attachment, and their attachment doesn't undermine their independence. And it's one of the hardest things to figure out in life, because, you'll forgive me for using the word, all trauma tells you the opposite. Attachment undermines me, and me undermines attachment. That's, I would say, one of the probably more sophisticated definitions of trauma, at least what just came in right now. It's that you cannot understand that. In other words, attachment comes at the price of suicide. For whatever reason, lack of trust, abandonment, whatever. We're not now getting into the reasons for it, but it's pretty obvious. Right? So this concept is a very mature, it's an evolved concept. That real attachment doesn't take away from you, and real you, really me being me, doesn't take away from attachment. And it's a subtle thing. This is a lifetime of work, of really going to that place. And I'm not talking about through words, external words. I'm talking internal energy, even though we're explaining here that words are pretty big, so I shouldn't say that in this year. Usually I say it's not about words, it's about energy, but here it's all about words. But you get what I'm saying. It's not the chitzonius words that I said the right thing, that's what I mean. So the Rebbe is saying here, to get from chachma to oisius, you need to go through midas. Even though oisius come from chachma. Because oisius bring out the diversity of things. And in chachma, everything is still coherent. V'hainu she'ishavus etzem metzias ha'oisius hi b'ofen she'aba yosad brata. Ki mitzad zeh she'oisius heim lamata mata nimshachim mei atzmus hanefesh oy mereishis asfidas shu sfidas ha'chachma aval kadei she'tiyeh his galus oisius hadibur v'afilu oisius ha'machshava hari ez tzadich li'is adei ma'aver ha'midus she'rak ha'yadam yochel li'is nimshach betachlis achtos li'bi oisius machshava dibur ad l'maisa lamata. The oisius harav here, this is oisius harav, are very powerful. I mean, the Rebbe said it in Yiddish, but so he's saying there's two inyanim. The etzem oisius come from where? Not from midas. They come from atzmus hanefesh, from the superconscious core of the soul. And that's why the whole process is unconscious, as we explained at length. Or, if you want to speak in svidis, it comes from chachma. He's not contradicting himself. It has different layers. Oisius really come from atzmus hanefesh. The way everything, it's contradicting. First he says atzmus hanefesh, or from chachma. Which one is it? It's not a stira. The way atzmus hanefesh comes out in spheres, it's spheres hachachma. You toifus? The way atzmus hanefesh comes out in the world of spheres, it's chachma. He's not contradicting himself. Oisius come higher than it. They come from atzmus hanefesh. But atzmus hanefesh, the way it comes out in consciousness, where does atzmus hanefesh comes out in consciousness? In chachma. That's where oisius come from. But for there to be his galus oisius, for the oisius to emerge, to be revealed, oisius hadibur, and even oisius hamachshava, this won't happen if chachma doesn't go through a whole evolution into bina and into das and into midas, and then oisius come out as a revealed entity. Again, even though you can experience machshava in seichel itself before midas, but over there, the oisius are bottled to the idea, where oisius take on their own identity, where the letters, that's where after the midas, always midas first. And then you find yourself thinking about it. Only through the midas can you get from tachlis ha'achdus to endless oisius and machshava, dibur, and then maisa. Because a person could speak for hours, as some of you know about some people. And how does that come from chachma? Chachma is the chanakuda. Chachma is always a split second. How long does chachma take? You have an epiphany, it's a second. So the speech should, if the dibur would come straight from chachma, the shir would be much shorter. It would be like a 4-second shir. Because that's what chachma is. Chachma is never more than 3-4 seconds. You never have an epiphany and it goes and it goes and it goes. No, it's not a drasha. Chachma is not a drasha. Chachma is oir. It's like a lightning. How long does a lightning stay? Boom, bow, I'm done. Because it's oir, it's a gilui. It's coming from etzem hanavi. You don't need time. It's not a process. Chachma is not a process. Bina is a process. I'll put it to you this way. Chachma is an event. Bina is a process. They say from one of the big scientists, he said that all invention is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. 99% schwitzing and 1% inspiration. Bina is perspiration. Chachma is inspiration. You can't control inspiration. It comes in. And it comes in always when your ego is not there. Perspiration, you could start schwitzing. That's bina. You toifus? So from chachma, the drasha would be a split second, 3 seconds. How long, if there was a tape of Matan Torah, if there was a video of Matan Torah, how long did you think Matan Torah took? Changed the whole history forever. God said what he wants in this world. How long did Matan Torah take? So my guess is... So I'm not sure a videotape would detect it, even if it was there, because it was parcha neshmas, an internal experience, and it was an inyan of lamaylam and azman, because if God is revealing himself, there's no time. But if you wanted to force it into time, my guess is that Matan Torah took around 3 minutes. That would be my hunch. But it's not 3 minutes. What can you do in 3 minutes? You could do everything in 3 minutes. You could do everything in 5 seconds.
Talk about Chabad and Chagas.
Yeah.
Chagas would be that they're not taken to the next, the final oisius. Chagas is midas, right?
Chagas is midas, chesed gvura teferes. Chabad is chachma ben adas. The Alter Rebbe called his system Chabad, Chassidus Chabad, not because he didn't want Chagas. He wanted the Chagas should be much more internalized. It should be pnimiyizdik. You should have a clear awareness of the whole process, because then the Chagas is not just spontaneous or instinctive or just emotional. Ois garbet, yeah. Yeah. And this is a challenge that Chabad has, Ad Hayom Hazeh, that sometimes there's so much Chabad, you could stay there. You don't realize that Chabad without Chagas, it's like a person the head is separate, chas v'shalom. It's all about embodiment.
You only have the abstract.
Yeah. So you can have pictures and maps, and you don't even know that the main thing is embodiment. That's why the Alter Rebbe always speaks about Ava and Yira, but he wanted the Chabad to be the catalyst, the springboard. Because if not, the Ava and Yira could be very chitzoniistic. And I don't even know what it is. It's like, yeah, I hear a nice, it's like it's a vertical. It's a vertical, you're inspired for a few minutes. For the emotions to be oizgar, but it's through Chabad, number one. Number two, for the emotions to be oizgar, but you have to understand your animal soul. Because otherwise it comes back to haunt you. It's not deep emotions. By Ne'ilah, you may be inspired because you feel your divine soul for 20 minutes, and it's amazing. But 25 minutes later or the next morning, you have to build your sukkah, right? And your kids are sleeping in, and they're triggering the living daylights out of you. I'm just giving one example. You have to have a conversation with your animal soul. That conversation is a conversation of Chachma bin Adas. It's understanding the map. Okay, so now, he says, I say. So now, so this is all Hagdama to understand what happened on Purim. This is not Stam getting into Isis. It's all Hagdama to understand what happens on Purim. It's a Hafla de Kabir here. Because suddenly you see how all these events in history, we see it. It's like what you learn here is like, how you can hear the weather, right? You could look at your internet and see it's going to be 20 degrees, 30 degrees, 40 degrees. Then you can have a meteorologist who explains to you why there's a windstorm, where it started, and how it got to New York, and it's going to hit New York 8 o'clock at night, and hence you should stay home. And then you can have a physicist or a scientist or a geologist who's going to explain to you what happened, in the tectonic plates of the earth near China that caused the Hisayrus de Latata, and therefore there's a hurricane in Miami, and therefore we're going to be dealing with kach v'kach. And it's all true. The bottom line, it's going to be 23 degrees windy. That's the bottom line. But if you want to understand more, you can go deeper and deeper and deeper. But then somebody will explain to you, but what happened in Olam HaYetzirah that caused the shift of tectonic plates in Olam HaSiyah, that caused the weather, that caused that you have to wear a coat tonight, even though it's a beautiful day. You understand? So when you look at history, you could look at it from Asiyah, Yetzirah, Bria, Atzilus. It's all Atzilus, it's not Asiyah. It's all Ishtalshalas. So we're going to see here that Rebbe is going to bring the whole his system of history. It's not stam, things happen. There's a whole process of how energy is being communicated. And ultimately it all always boils down to the same nakuda of Achdus Hashem and our relationship, Avodah, right? That's where it boils. If you haven't figured that out yet from all these shiurim, that's where it ultimately ends up. It's all, so you can get caught up on history. The Rebbe once said, I made it the kavart Purim. Purim Tavshin Yud Beis, I think. I think this for B'nai Tak. No, the next year, I think Yud Gimel. It says like this, Vayhi b'mei Achashverosh. So the Gemara asks in Megillah, I think it's Daf Yud Aleph, in the first Perek, why it's called Achashverosh. So there's a few shittas. Shmuel Amar, Shehushchiru Pneim Shal Yisrael Keshulei Gdera. B'yamav Hushchiru Pneim Shal Yisrael Keshulei Gdera. In his days, the face of the Jewish people became as black as the bottom of your cholent pot. You know when the pot is black because you left it too long? So that's what the Jews looked like. Achashverosh from the word shachrus, shachar, black, darkness. There's a medrash, it's brought in Ma'irayon, and the Ramah brings it in his commentary on Megillah Mechir Yayin. Achashverosh is Hashem. Mi she'acharis v'reishis shaloi. Achashverosh is acharis, v'reishis shaloi. The end and the beginning is his. Vayhi b'mei Achashverosh, b'mei mi she'acharis v'reishis shaloi. In the days of he, that the end and the beginning is his, which is Hashem, because he's ato rishon, ato achrim, baladayin elikim. So, which Achashverosh is? You're living with. Here you tell me it's black. It's the worst time in history. What do they say? It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Yeah. And here you tell me Achris v'reishis shaloi. I'm a chaya. In whose days are you living? So he said, this is the ganze avodah. It's the whole avodah. It's not a contradiction. When you look at the world, what do you see? Achashverosh is a finster antisemit, a shikker, a meshuggin, a nodjob, a tippish, a avgefen. As the Gemara says, he killed his wife because of his friend, and he killed his friend because of his wife. You understand what type of therapy this guy needed? If you would let him go further, he would kill himself because of himself. Kill your wife because of your friend, you kill your friend because of your wife. Basically, he killed Vashti because of Haman, he killed Haman because of Esther. Thank God Esther saved him from himself. Okay. He needed just another party. So that's Bepashtus, and it's Emes. That's Achashverosh. But he said, if you look Bepnimiyus, it's Vayhi B'mei Achashverosh, Misha Acheres V'reishis Shaloi. It's not a stid. The whole Achashverosh from a Pnimiyus level is in order to bring to the Nes Purim. There's no other Achashverosh. So that's the whole avodah. The question, what glasses you're wearing? It's not a stira. Either you're wearing glasses of Olam Asiyah Hagashmi, yeah? Donald Trump is Donald Trump. With alla mailas and alla chesainas. If you put on other pair of glasses, it's Vahi b'mei achlis v'reis shaloi. So the Rebbe asked, the Gemara says in Megillah, whenever it says Vayihi, it's Loshen Tsar. L'chayre, if you know it's achlis v'reis shaloi, what's the Tsar? He says the Tsar is that you need a medrash to tell you that it's achlis v'reis shaloi. It's not Beis Galus, that's the Tsar. Tsar is, but you need a voida to see it. You need a medrash. He says, Beis Galus, what do you see? Achashverosh, a finster antisemit. Bepnimiyus, so he says that's the Tsar. The Tsar is that it's a taich in the vort. It's a taich in the vort. Or in simple words, you have to learn Chassidus for years and live with it in order to get to that place. That's the Tsar. You know, it's not visceral, it's not embodied. The Rebbe said these two sides, that's where you feel the emes of Chassidus. If the Rebbe would only say the first half, you could say, okay, he's a hechere mensch, and he sees in the world godliness. That's what a tzaddik is. So that's beautiful. But when he said the second half, you say, you said you feel the emes of it. The second half is, no, there's a pain here. The pain is that you need the Lubavitcher Rebbe to explain this. You understand? That's the pain. You need another mimer, another mimer, another mimer, another mimer. So that's where it resonates, because you see, this is it. In other words, you realize it's Achris V'Reishes Shaloi, but you realize that it's not simple to realize that it's Achris V'Reishes Shaloi. He actually said in a word from the Baditchever. The Baditchev once said, we once spoke to Hashem, and he said, it was after the Shoshana Yom Kippur, and he felt that he didn't get the results that he wanted from heaven. So the Rebbe said the letzte limud schus was, he turned to Hashem and he said, Ribono shel Olam, it's completely unfair what you did. Eib de Volst. Genommen Gan Eden und Gehennem. Und es weggestellt in front von der Augen von Jiden. Und alle Teives Elam Hase, was da reingelegt in Sfarim. Verstehe ich. Gan Eden und Gehennem was da reingelegt in Sfarim. Teives Elam Hase hast du gemacht vor der Augen. Was willst du? The Baditchever. If you would have taken Gan Eden and Gehenna and put it in front of their eyes, and all the addictions and craziness in Elam Haza you would put in the books, if you open Reishis Chachma, you'll learn about Taivas. Then you can have a Taina. Why are they running to Taivas? But all the Krankschaften of Elam Haza, all the traumas, you put right before them. Gan Eden and Gehenna you put in Svarim. Is was willst du? If it would be Vayhi b'mei Malchus Beis David, Vayhi b'mei Melech HaMashiach, he can have Tainus. It's b'mei Achashverosh. And then, he said, the whole Megillah doesn't have Hashem's name. And then the Arizal tells you, Yavai HaMelech v'Haman HaYoim is Rosh Tevis Yudke Vavke. So in the Megillah, it's the Meyad angelegt an Achashverosh mit Haman. Shem Havaya, you put into Rosh Tevis and Soife Tevis. He says, was willst du? That's Vayihi Lashon Sar. This was Purim Chavtes. He said this. It was a hafla de kesicha. No amis asipim. The word he said over the Baditchever's word, that's the Tsar. He said like this: Shem Havaya, Achashverosh you put in front of our eyes. Havaya you put in Rosh Tevis and Seifet. In Arizal you have a bunch of Rosh Tevis with Havaya in the Megillah. You have Yaveh Melech Vaman Hayom. You have Ki Cholsa Elav Hara is Seifet Tevis Yudke Vavke. There's a bunch of Ramazim for Hashem's name. Because in the Megillah there's not once Hashem's name. So he said, Achashverosh you put, Haman you put. Shem Havaya is I have to look for Rosh Tevis mit Gematrias. Is was willst du? So it's not a stira. You say it's Achris V'Reisha Shaloi, and it's still Lashon Tsar. It's a Tsar of, that's what Geula means. Geula means, the Tsar that there's no Geula means that it's not revealed. Huh? So Geula is when Achashverosh becomes Achris V'Reisha Shaloi, there's Galus. Huh? Daina Gashma. Yeah. And the period now is the bridge between Galus and Geula. Right now. The Rabbi said, Giyas man Golaschem. What's the bridge between Galus and Geula? The bridge between Galus and Geula is a very difficult time. It's also a very special time. It's a difficult time because you could sense moments of Geula, but you're still in the craziness of Galus. So it's a very unique time. You're in the craziness of Galus, you're in Galus. You're in Geula, it's going to be Geula, pure bliss, ain't safe. When you're in Galus, but you can already sense Geula, on one hand it's a tremendous chus, it's a historic moment, but on the other hand it's very painful. Because it's like you're in insanity, but you could sense a little sanity. It's like, oh my God. Like you're in a cage locked up, but you can also see sunlight. It's how different, that's the energy now. Yeah. This the Rebbe said, Tov Shenun, Higiyas man Golaschem. People didn't understand what he was saying. He was saying that the history is changing right now as we speak. And, people became Lubavitch, Mashiach, Yechi, became a Litzonis because people didn't understand anything. But today everybody sees that the Rebbe was simply 30 years ago. He was just telling you there's a new chapter in history happening now. There's a new energy of Geula. And when that happens, you have to open up. You have to open up to a new reality because if not, reality is going to catch you with your pants down. So the ones who really believe the Rebbe are all the kids. The kids, they know the truth because you can't fool them. So they're machanam ha'pecha, and the adults are calling them narcissistic and spoiled. They don't want a Gullah's Judaism. They want a Geula Judaism, so we call them narcissistic and spoiled. I love it. They tell you the truth, and you call them narcissistic because they're telling you the truth. And that's everything that's happening, basically. At least that's how I see it. And are you typhus the Inyan here? So that's the whole Inyan. When you look at history, it's not a contradiction. Achashverosh is black, and Achashverosh is beautiful. Black is beautiful. You missed that one. Okay, it's too early. Shchoirani v'nava b'nois Yerushalayim. Yeah, you know the pasuk. Shchoirani v'nava. Black. I'm black and I'm beautiful. I'm black and I'm beautiful. You think black is beautiful was a made-up term? It says in Shira Shira. I'm dark and I'm beautiful. Yeah, it's not a contradiction. There's a taich from the Mittel Rebbe in a Maamar on Purim. He says, "Vayhi b'mei Achashverosh hamoilech mehoidu v'at kush." Unbelievable. It says, what's hoidu? What does the word hoid mean? Light. Hoid v'hadar lefanov, right? V'nasata mehoidcha alav. Hoid is glory, light. What's kush? Schwarz, darkness. Vayhi b'mei Achashverosh hamoilech mehoidu v'at kush. From the greatest light to the greatest darkness, it's all Achris V'Reisha Shaloi. Mehoidu v'at kush. Hoid v'hadar lefanov. V'nasata mehoidcha alav. Hashem told Moshe, take your light and give it to Yeshua. Huh? Shenkite, light, glory, the hoid v'hadar. Huh? Mehoidu v'at kush. How can that be? It's what we learned Shabbos in the Maamar in Torah, v'atoishet. We learned the Maamar v'atoishet, what did we learn? V'yoshet hamelech la'Esther. The vart of Purim, that it's atzmus, so Melech comes down even in the lowest place, the transformation. We could learn another few minutes, because I want to, we'll learn another few minutes. Huh? Whoever has to go, don't feel bad, it's fine. I know it's late. But I want to finish the Maamar tomorrow, so that's why I want to learn a little more. The The koil hanikri v'shmi v'lechvoidi brasi v'tzayde v'avasisiv toli ba'avoida sadom l'mata b'liban atayde v'kiyim ha-mitzvahs. You have to understand, people don't realize how Maimorim are built. They think it's vertlach. A Maimor is built like pyramids, like a structure. Every detail that was said till now is negeya to the Maimor. It's not stam, a vart, another vart. Chassidus Chabad is not vertlach. It's a map of reality. God didn't build the world with vertlach. Every detail is part of the ecosystem. You understand? That's how a Maimor is. It's part of an ecosystem. It's not anything we learned till now. It's negeya to the whole nekudah of the Maimor. If not, it wouldn't have been said. So even though there's a lot of details, it's all one. So every detail he said is going to be now part of the nekudah. So he said, we said before that the whole Seder Ishtalshalus depends on avoida. Barasi begamatria taryak. Because even Atzilus was all for there to be a person and a relationship. So even Atzilus, the Tachlis is for Asiyah. Atzilus is not for itself. Right? I told you then that a neshama of Atzilus is a neshama that knows that its whole inyan is to be mashpiyah, to bri yitzir Asiyah. So b'meil it's all totally in avodas Adam because you're like the hinge. What was your word? The axis. You remember? The axis. You see, I was listening. I wasn't only talking. I rest my case. I rest my case for those who were doubting me. I rest my case. Axis. I went back to hinge and then I remembered. It's the axis upon which everything revolves. So it's totally in avodah. Not just Asiyah, Yitzirah, Bria, even Atzilus. So how they move on? So now let's understand. If the whole Atzilus is an interface, and it goes from Chachma to Midas to Machshava Dibur Maisa, and it all depends on the avodah and the presence of the person. So to understand what this means, you showing up to life with your divine self doesn't affect your wife and kids. Pshita. Doesn't affect your community. Pshita. Doesn't affect Muncie. Pshita. Doesn't only affect Toms River, Lakewood, Williamsburg, Monroe, Borough Park, and even Crown Heights. Pshita. It doesn't even only affect the world. But he's saying here, what happens? Yitzira changes. Bria changes. Atzilus becomes affected because the whole tachlis of Atzilus was to get at that point. Like we learned in Basi Lagani from the Maggid that all the tzimtzumim was for there to be achdus. So the tzimtzumim are all a hachana to achdus. So the whole Atzilus is a preparation for avodah. Preparation for your presence. Yeah. Those who learn Chita, so today's Tanya, today is Tanya chapter 33. So the Rebbe says, V'zeh kol ha'adam, v'tachlis briyasei, u'briyas kol ha'olamus, elyonim v'tachtoinim. You remember from the base Psukim? V'zeh kol ha'adam, v'tachlis briyasei, u'briyas kol ha'olamus, liyas lo yizbarach dirazu b'tachtoinim. And Al Rebbe explains, when a person embodies the experience that Achdus Hashem is the same like pre-creation, that is the tachlis of the whole Bria. Everything gets justified. So you would think me, I'm such a, really you care about my embodiment? Well, this little nervous system of mine that gets triggered by the fact that breakfast is late and that the rice is sticky? It's like a joke. Right? People think that Yiddishkeit puts down self-esteem. The moment you read this line in Tanya, it's like, oh my God. The whole Ein Sof, everything is that you should embody God's presence. Really? Like that's a big deal? You're not even the size of an ant relative to the outer space. You're not even an ant. Forget about a person. Not even an ant. And Lagabe Ein Sof, I don't know. It's mamish kaloi chashav. Not even smaller than an ant. You can't. And the whole tachlis was that you, me, in my guf and nefesh habahamis should experience an embodiment of God's presence and oneness. Wow. That's pretty big. And imagine you feel this. How much love is there in that? So of course you have klois nefesh. You know the Alter Rebbe is teaching the pasuk in Malachi. I keep on getting carried away with other things. It's a shtickle fabrengen, I put him fabrengen. There's a pasuk in Malachi. Ani Hashem lo shanisi, va'atem bnei Yaakov lo chilisem. Rabbi Zaks, her. I Hashem didn't change, and you bnei Yaakov have not perished. Meaning, just like nobody killed me, nobody will kill you. It's Gavaldik in Nevuah, Malachi, the last Navi. Alter Rebbe teaches it's a question. A question. Bitmir. Ani Hashem lo shanisi. When you realize as Ani Hashem Lo Shanis, the Achdus is Maamar the same like pre-creation. Upnei Yaakov Lo Chilisem. How could you not have Klois HaNefesh? Lo Chilisem. Bist nicht ausgegangen. If you experience with your body Ani Hashem Lo Shanisi, Upnei Yaakov Lo Chilisem, how could that be? It's Akasha. Alter Rebbe's Akasha. That's what the Navi is asking. How can it be? Obviously, you're not hearing what I'm saying. You're not experiencing it. You think it's some intellectual, cute philosophy. And that's the emes, because the moment you embody this energy, you got to go crazy from bliss, good crazy, shtus de kedusha, good to craziness. It's like almost you have to catch your breath from this experience. You know what the greatest secret of Judaism is? I just realized. You know what the greatest the greatest secret of Judaism is, one of the greatest secrets of Judaism is, the ISIS, yeah. It's true. Oh, what did he put in LSD? Das is in you, and you say, Siddish, das ist ruchnisdik. There was a guy who wanted to put into the New York water reservoir. He wanted to put in, who was his name? Timothy Leary wanted to put in psychedelics into the water of New York City. So everybody should have. So what am I telling to you? What is that people, that deep down, the trauma of Gullus is so deep that we don't know how blissful Yiddishkeit is. I don't mean intellectually. We could give 1 billion speeches about this. It's irrelevant. I'm talking about the embodied feeling that really all of creation is about infinite experience of love and bliss. It's one of the best kept secrets. And it's nobody's fault. There's so much pain that we went through and go through. But that's why even the question, B'nai Yaakov Lo Chilisem, no, I'm not interested in Klois HaNefesh, God. I need breakfast. I don't need Klois HaNefesh. I need lunch, I need dinner, I need to pay my mortgage, and my car broke down, and my lease is over, and my license expired, and I got a ticket yesterday. I don't need Klois HaNefesh. And my daughter needs a shidduch, my son needs this, my wife needs this, this one needs this, and that's it. What do you want? Because Ani Hashem Lo Shanisi is like Rabbi says, it's in the books, it's in the Maamar. If it's not in the Maamar, if it's embodied, then B'nai Yaakov Lo Chilisem. So I'll call upon him. So everything is totally in Avodah. So if it's totally in Avodah, so he says like this, how do you move on? Shekasher Avodah Sadam Lamati Lelei Gam V'Chisaron Azay Gam Lamayla Yashne B'Shleimus Kol Seder Ayishtal Shalos מבחינס כל הנקרא בשמי לכבוד גיבושንም שחיידי המידס שבלב ועד להסגלוס איסיס תחילה איסיס המחשבה ואחר איסיס הדיבה ואחר עניין המעשה. So when a person's avodah is whole, it's without a chisaron, it's without a blemish, so it triggers kivayachal lamayla the whole hishtalshalus. So you have atzilus, chachma, bina, you have the midas, and then you have the oisius, machshava, dibur, maisa. So there's like a flow that is uninterrupted. Generally, this is what we mean about the time of Beis HaMikdash. When we speak about the Beis HaMikdash, we learn that it was a home and people went there. And l'chayr, if you read Tanakh, there were a lot of tzadas by the Beis HaMikdash also. You know, what do we look at Beis HaMikdash, especially by his Sheni, but even by his tradition, was full of tzadas. Read Tanakh, you'll see. So what's this romanticism? But there was one inyan Bizman Beis HaMikdash Hayakayim, and that is, he says, Kol ha'inyanim hayu begalui. You understand? Everything was exposed. It was revealed. The worst things about trauma is not the trauma. It's that it's not exposed. You create substitutes for it. You don't realize it's a coping mechanism. And you become Meshuggah, and you call being Meshuggah normal. The time of the Beis HaMikdash, it was begali. Things were exposed. The channel, the flow was open. This is Ra, this is Toiv. This is Avodah Zarah, this is not Avodah Zarah. Over here is the Shechin. The reason people were doing Avodah Zarah, it was very serious. Because they wanted a relationship with spirituality, but not with God. So they did Avodah Zarah. Avodah Zarah was a powerful spiritual journey without God. Whenever people go on spiritual journeys and they delete God from the process, that's Avodah Zarah. They may do it unintentionally, and they may do it because for them God is a source of traumas. They don't understand what God is. They have to learn what Hashem is from the Alter Rebbe's perspective. But essentially, they're replacing reality for a more sophisticated. They're replacing real reality for a reality that is ultimately divorced from reality. So it's going to come back to bite us. But in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, everything was begali. Things were revealed. What means it was revealed? There was a flow of reality. There was a flow of emes. And that's why the consequences were also much more severe, because you see it right away. If I would see right away the consequences of my coping mechanism when I was 5 years old, everything would be different. But I didn't. For 25 years, it worked. My wife always tells me it works until it doesn't work. But it can work for 45 years. 45 years it worked till it stops working. Why? Because it's not begolui. Things happen behelim. It's concealed. Raha nelim is much worse than raha golui. Dysfunctionality that is under the rug is much worse because you can't deal with it. Because it creates substitutes and crazy mechanisms. And now dubis the meshugana. In some families you see there's a boy who has a nervous breakdown. And the whole family is a perfect family. And they say, you're ruining our shidduch. Then you look a little deeper and you realize, as the einzige Normale in the ganze Mishpacha. There's crazy stuff going on in this family. I'm not going to get graphic. You'll use your male imagination. And the females who are listening, you'll excuse me, but I'm not going to get graphic. Crazy stuff went on in that family. Everybody learned how to lie subconsciously and make believe we're a perfect family. And this kid is the only true kid who's too authentic for cover-ups, so he broke. He's the Einzige Normale. Everybody's calling him the Meshuggah. It's called the family crucible. He's the guy who's telling you the truth. He's opening you up to the truth. It's not a perfect family. This is a sick family. There is toxicity and poison here for generations, at least for years. Nobody spoke about it, and he's speaking about it, but he doesn't know the truth, so he had a breakdown. People don't like to hear this. But these kids, the Gemara says, nitna nevuah, after the churban, nitna nevuah, l'shoitim u'l'ktanim. So he looks like a shoita. He has nevuah. He's telling you divrei nevuah. I don't mean to say here a general situation about every family. I'm talking about situations that you have to realize. You understand? Everybody's calling him the Meshuggah. He's just revealing the craziness. So the Rebbe says in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, kol ha'inyanim hayu begali. It doesn't mean it was perfect. There are a lot of chatoim, but it was begali. That's where Eliyahu Hanavi had such a hard time. Either serve God or serve the Baal. Don't come to shul and scream Nagdishach and Kaddish, Kaddish, Kaddish and sponsor the Kiddush and close your eyes. And then in your house and in the business you're a shark. Here you close your eyes, the shreist, Ana Hashem Aishir and Ana Hashem Atzlichana. But in your personal life, you know how much you're triggered. Eliyahu couldn't tolerate it. Galus is a situation where it's not just there's disassociation. The disassociation is disassociated. You're disassociated from your disassociation. You understand? It's a very big difference. If I'm disassociated, I know, okay, I tell my wife, my dear wife, I went into the disassociation for the next 6 hours. Nobody is home. I'm a corpse. Call the Chevre Kadisha. Fine. You're a mess mitzvah for 6 hours. No problem. Call me when you're ready for Tchis HaMesa. That's not what we do today. We disassociate and we call it Daf Yomi. Or Mincha or Ma'ariv. I don't want to pick against Daf Yomi. You could call it Chitas if you want. I'm not discriminating. Disassociation, Baruch Hashem, is across the board. Yeah, equal opportunity. Even this shiur, he says, could be disassociation. Okay. If you try, yeah, you could be disassociated from anything. You understand my point? The Baal Shem Tov, you say, V'anoichi haste aster. What's V'anoichi haste aster? As the hester is behester. The concealment is concealed. The fact that there's concealment, avada there's concealment. Vayihi lashon sar. There's no, of course there's concealment. There was a tzimtzum. Welcome to the club. Good morning, America. The symptom, yeah, figure it out. If you haven't figured it out yet, there was a symptom. Even if it wasn't Kipshutei, you have to learn from the Alter Rebbe that it was Shaloi Kipshutei. Achashvedish, right? Vayhi Lashon Tsar. You have to learn a ganze Maamar for 50 years to understand symptom Shaloi Kipshutei. And then to feel it also takes another couple of years. That's not the problem. The problem is when the Hester is Behester. The Tzimtzum became the Gilui. Galus became Geula. Call it Galus is already good. The problem is when Galus becomes Geula. That's called a false Mashiach. When you say Mashiach didn't come, I got it. But the false Mashiach, now you're done. Now your Hester became your Geula. Your craziness became your normalcy. Right? The cover-ups became the normal kid. The kid who's saying the truth. He's the Meshuggah. Because he's the only one who wants to say the truth. Because he's ruining the Shidduchim. People love saying that the youth today are more spoiled than any other generation. Vani akoten oimer, it's not true. Are the people spoiled? Yeah, I'm also spoiled. We're all spoiled. They're spitting out the toxicity, and we don't like to see it. So we give them names. The best name is you're a spoiled brat. Like one woman told me, you think I liked my mother? But whoever said that? Kibudain. So I said, wow, so thank your daughter. She's being honest. Isn't that amazing? She actually wants to heal the relationship. You understand? She hates her mother, b'chol nimei nafsha. And I'm not judging anybody. I'm not judging her mother. I'm not judging her. Everybody was doing the best. As my son likes to make fun of me, Tata, you did the best you can with the skills you have. That's his joke. My 14-year-old. Tata, you did the best you can with the tools you had. It's fine. He's making fun of his father. Tata, you did the best you can with the tools you have. From the mouth of babes. So I tell the mother, it's a moedic thing. You hate your mother with your etzem hanefesh. Not nefesh alikis, but nefesh habahamas. But you couldn't say it, and you buried it, and that's why you're an anxious woman. Baruch Hashem, you were zoicha to a daughter who wants a real relationship with her mother. So it's coming out. So shouldn't you thank her and do your own healing work? But for that, she has to be much healthier. So I'm just explaining to you when he says it, the Beis HaMikdash, people, whenever we hear in the Beis HaMikdash, somebody once told me, it says, oh, the Beis HaMikdash, everything was perfect. What? What perfect? Read Tanakh. The pshat is the Beis HaMikdash was a state, there was a frequency of consciousness in the world that was available. You had to choose. It's still Bechira. Fakir, then there was real Bechira. Today, Bechira is very, very, very little. Because you don't see anything. Only when you see, it's in the books today. Very good. It's in the books. That's what Rabbi Baditchev said. There's no real Bechira. People think everybody has Bechira. Bechira you only have when you learn Chassidus and you live with Chassidus, then you start having Bechira. Till then, it's autopilot. I'm just trying to survive. I'm just trying to survive. Really, I'm just trying to be a good person. And so everybody's just trying to survive. Everybody's a gem. They're trying to survive, I promise you. Talk to them a little bit. Only when you really can experience the frequency of oneness do you have choice. In the time of the Beis HaMikdash, there was actually Bechira. You're like, God, I don't want to talk to you. I like the Baal much better because I can have an orgy with him, with Arayas. This Bechira, today, somebody's rejecting God. What? You ever saw him, you ever spoke to him, you ever experienced even a glimmer of Ein Sof? God is one big dictator, tyrant who took away everything from me. Where's the Bechira? This is the Libut Schus of Rabbi Yitzchak of Baditchev. People get upset when I say this because, you're telling people they're allowed to do whatever they want. People don't, it's fakert. The moment you learn about this, you'll actually have Bechira, and then you're going to know what to do. Without this, you don't have Bechira. You're living in autopilot coping mechanism. So that's what he's saying. In the time of the Beis HaMikdash, things were begali, they were revealed. It says in Medrash Tehillim, Tzadik Aleph, Allah, they daven and they got answered. What's pshat? Hainu shegam kasher bikshu aruchnius, vegam kasher bikshu al gashmis, royim miyad es hamanam al mailaf. Amazing. Yes, no, but they saw an answer. They asked for ruchnis, they asked for gashmis. There was like a direct flow. The collect call, and there was yes or no. I'm accepting the call, I'm not accepting the call. But you heard a voice. You hear the word, hafla v'fella. This is a medrash, but the Rebbe is teaching what it means. What does it mean, yad mispalim v'nenin? There was a response, because there's flow. It's like your nervous system connects the brain all the way to the leg. You feel what's happening. There's a flow. Danger, safety, security, insecurity, love, no love, but there's a flow. Why? Because there was alignment, and in that alignment, atzilus, chachma, midas, machshava, dibur, ma'isa, it's all flowing. And it all depends on avodah. But Galus, it says, our signs we don't see. It says in Tehillim, the word chay doesn't really mean sin, it means avoid. And this creates an effect also lamaila. So now he's going to go into understand what happens in Galus versus the time of the Beis HaMikdash. And from there we'll be able to understand the Chiddush of Purim. Okay, we'll stop here. And Be'ezir Hashem, we will continue tomorrow. What time do they finish Shachris here, you know? Tomorrow's Kriyas HaTorah. So tomorrow will be 8. Okay. So we'll start at 8. Everybody have a beautiful and inspiring day. Tomorrow is Thursday, Tainas Esther. So it's a fast day. Purim Tavshin Chavtes. Dat wil ik bij dit schaf. Ze doen af tape. Ik denk dat ze het gewend. Ik denk dat besrakshus, zeer besrakshus. Tavshin Chavtes. Tavshin Yud Gimel was about the two pshatim in Achashverosh, but Tavshin Chavtes was the whole word of the Baditsheva. Huh? You can't have enough tape. Seifer Tevis, Rasha Tevis. Because everything that happens in Asiya comes from Atzilus. It's not... yeah. Yeah. Whoever didn't daven yet, say Krishma.